You're listening to Alcoholics Alive, where recovered members of Alcoholics Anonymous share their experience on how they live AA as a way of life. None of our participants get paid or speak for AA. Here are your hosts, Shank and Wayne. Shank, we're well over halfway through our plain language concept study. What do you think?
I think it's going pretty good.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot.
I have too. We need to start having a segment, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And have questions like out of the Alcoholics Anonymous book.
Yeah.
Yep. And then if you miss those, then we'll give you something out of the plain language big book.
Are you smarter than a sober alcoholic?
There you go. Oh my goodness. What's our Upon Awakening reading today?
Upon Awakening. This comes from the book Alcoholics Anonymous, page 62. This is the 4th edition, 2001. And it says, "This is the how and why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter, in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is the principal, we are his agents. He is the father, and we are his children. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we pass to freedom."
Well, the question for us would be, are we willing to quit playing God?
It's tough.
It is tough giving up control.
Mm-hmm.
And wanting to be involved in every little aspect of everything to make sure it goes our way.
You know what I've heard recently? Several people say, I'm a control freak.
Okay.
Several people said it the other day. They were like, I'm a control freak and blah, blah, blah. And then the next person was like, well, I'm also a control freak. And I was like, I mean, aren't we all?
Probably. According to the book, we are. We're all selfish and self-centered, which basically equates to control freak.
Mm-hmm.
I had a little bit of more of a spiritual awakening with this concept. I mean, I had no idea that it was okay to just let people be who they were and to not try to control everything. To me, it was a little bit of, now I didn't hold on to it very long, but for me, it was a little bit of a relief to realize that, my God, I don't have to keep score and I don't have to keep trying to make sure everything works out the way I want it to work out. And this is certainly a good idea to try to live up to, of letting God be your director and not trying to control and direct everything.
Well, what I think is interesting is stuff like this in AA allowed me to kind of let go of how I want it to be perceived. And like that's kind of like how I would play God, I think, is I wanted everyone to think that I wasn't like a backwoods redneck.
Right.
Or that my mom still didn't live in a trailer, or that I'd been to prison like once I got sober and got out, you know? It really allowed me the freedom to like not really care. I'm a recovered alcoholic, and yeah, there are a lot of things about me that I probably wouldn't have chosen, but I've quit playing God. I don't need you to think anything super specific about me. It is what it is.
It is what it is. It's kind of, I mean, this concept is really kind of where freedom starts too. For me, it did anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've had a hard time getting people to, I don't know if it's agree or understand. To me, I think it's our biggest problem is we continually try to play God. Now, we don't think that's what it is.
Yeah.
But in my mind, if I got an idea about how somebody's going to act or an idea about how things are going to go, and I'm so tied to that when things don't go that way, I get frustrated or mad or intolerant, or even a lot of times it's just internal. Why can't that son of a gun see this?
Or you get the wrong food at
What
the restaurant, or
what are they doing? I mean, I may outwardly kind of handle it okay, but internally I'm like, these son of a, oh my God. It's the same concept.
yeah,
Yeah. And so I think that's the next level of spirituality, is like not playing God in your thoughts.
yeah,
Like just let things go. Let it be. What's the shrapnel? Let go and let God.
that's right.
Easy does it. What concept are we on?
Okay, we are on concept 8. I had to make sure. VIII.
Oh, it gets tricky now.
V is 5.
Yeah, that's right.
III is 3.
Yep.
5 plus 3 is 8.
V plus I is 8.
So concept 8 is kind of talking about how the trustees just they don't do it all. They don't micromanage. They're not.
Oh, they don't.
Well, okay, here's what
Oh,
it says, short
all right.
form. The trustees of the General Service Board act in two primary capacities. A. With respect to larger matters of policy, finance, and leadership, they are the principal planners and administrators. B. With respect to our separately incorporated and constantly active services, their relation is mainly that of full stock ownership and custodial oversight.
Okay. All right. Little word salad for you there. So just a quick recap on 7 from last week, right? In 7, we realized that trustees have legal power, but they don't control everything because the conference and does have what we would call spiritual authority.
Mm-hmm.
And while the trustees technically have legal power to do whatever they want to do, they're very much guided by the conference and the conference actions. However, the concepts kind of build on the idea of delegation, meaning, the groups delegate their stuff to GSRs, right? GSRs delegate to the delegate. The delegate goes to the conference, and we kind of delegate stuff to the conference. The conference makes decisions, and they delegate that to trustees and the board. And the trustees and the board basically cannot run the day-to-day operations of AAWS and the Grapevine and the office. So what do? They delegate.
Delegate it to the staff, eh?
Yep. So the trustees do appoint board members, because they want to make sure that they have the best board possible. And you want people that from different walks of life and with different experiences, different educations, and different professional skills. So the board does get to, or the trustees do get to pick their board members. But ultimately, in concept 8, it tells us that they basically delegate the daily work of the office to the staff. So now, who's in charge?
Well, it sounds like the staff.
It's the staff. We like to act like it's not true, but the general manager's in charge. You can say
Yeah.
what you want to say, but that position is the president and the CEO of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm sure I'll get some feedback on that one, but it's true.
Yeah.
So basically, trustees wear two hats. I mean, they are the planners and the administrators. I mean, so they do help with like long-term strategy, and they're responsible for overall finances. They're responsible for big policy issues. They do, like, they're responsible for hiring, like the general manager and the board members, which are a pretty big task nowadays. and they have oversight of AAWS and they have oversight of the Grapevine, but they don't run them day to day. And they basically delegate that work to the executive team and to the staff. And if you remember, we won't go much into it, but each AAWS has its own board, and so does Grapevine. Right, remember that. So there's two boards, two separate businesses.
I mean, I thought Grapevine was totally separate.
It is. It is. And technically, I'm pretty sure this is right. The Grapevine,
They
they
don't
have they
have.
they don't have to do anything with the conference. They do.
Okay, so why do they go through the conference?
Because they're trying to be good stewards. They're trying to be good citizens. It's just
Well,
like the
then,
preamble change in the fellowship in the change in the preamble, the word
mhm.
change. They didn't have to run that through the conference. They did out of respect, but they could have just changed it and rolled with it.
This is probably a different thing. But why don't we just take ownership? Why don't they just take ownership of the Grapevine and have it be a service piece like they want to and let it be a loss forever?
It would sure make sense to do something like that, wouldn't it? It would. Yep. Roll it right into AWS and make it a service piece and look for ways to for efficiencies and more online stuff and skinny it down a little bit. Use recycled toilet paper and black and white, or whatever it is. But they talked about that several years ago about combining the boards
Yeah.
and the businesses, and it never made it for probably
It
for
would be a lot more work. Like I do acknowledge that for
yeah
if there were just one board and got it. But
yeah
if Grapevine doesn't have to go through the conference, but generally does anyway, then it seems like that's
yeah
more workload too.
yeah yeah. Now a lot of their stuff they don't run through the conference.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those books and trinkets and things that they roll out, that I mean, you can
It
kind
gets
of
into,
tell that you can kind of tell years ago somebody did that just so they could like publish stuff without
yeah, I'm
getting it
sure.
approved. You can see that.
Yeah.
So I think what this concept does is it prevents micromanagement, right? It gives staff the ability and the flexibility to do their job. Right? And if the trustees are doing higher level stuff, it gives the staff and the corporate boards, more time to focus on what they're supposed to be doing, like publishing, translating literature, processing group updates.
Because it's a lot of work, right?
It is a lot of work.
Like they do a
Tr-
lot of work.
They do a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually there's a service piece out called. It's been out forever. It's called Services Provided by GSO and AAWS. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, probably, but it doesn't.
So it shows you everything that staff does,
Hmm.
and it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it's called Service Material from the General Service Office. Services provided by GSO, AAWS. I think there's a, oh yeah, SMF 176. Service Material F176. If anybody's interested in seeing that. And I think if it's not any different than any other kind of nonprofit or any other business, right? You got a board that has oversight, but then you got executives and staff that carry out the work. And typically the board stays out of that, the day-to-day operations, right? And people don't need to run stuff by the board or by the conference to make decisions.
So why is it always kind of like touted as if the fellowship and groups in the upside down triangle make all of the decisions, if that's just not true.
It's always been a it's always been an interesting question to me. I don't know why. I've never
I mean,
agreed with it.
it makes sense to me that they have a lot of work to do and a lot of that should be delegated and that there are legal ramifications of running a business.
Yep,
People need to make some decisions.
yep,
Like that makes total sense to me.
yeah. I have never agreed with the way that some of our trusted servants paint the picture that everything in AA is run through the groups and the members. It's just never been true. It's not true. It never will be true, and it doesn't need to be true. I mean, and maybe I just hear things different, and maybe most people don't care, but a lot of times when you hear them talk about the upside down triangle, they do. It just sounds like that it's this magical spiritual process, and that everybody's involved and everybody's got to say so, and it's just not true. And could you imagine if the staff had to, you
No,
know, if they needed something to run the business, and could you imagine them having to get approval through the conference?
no.
No, it's just crazy. And if you had trustees or delegates trying to run the day-to-day operations, I mean, you'd have nothing but confusion, infighting, burnout, micromanagement, low morale. Yep. And you'd have some kind of, a shift away from the spiritual foundation. And I think Bill warned us that too much concentration on money and authority is dangerous, even in AA. So,
So I guess too, like this brings it back to our previous concept of the power of the purse. Is that what they said?
power of the
That
purse.
they do need to make decisions. Everything does not go through the conference or through the groups or through the delegates. Like there are decisions being made, and probably one of the best ways the fellowship at large can show that they're not spiritually on board with something is the power of the purse.
Power of the purse. Yep. And it's written in a lot of our literature. Bill Wilson talked about it many, many, many times. He was an advocate for that concept.
That makes a
But
lot
it's
more sense to me in relation to they're really busy. They have a lot of work that they're doing to be done, to delegate. Um, and most of them are probably not, I don't want to say they're not paying attention to what the delegates are saying or the groups or emails that are coming in or what have you, but I did always think it was kind of odd up until the last several years when an area or a group or whomever would send a letter like we're not contributing for a period of time and here's why. I'm like, well, just you don't need to announce your departure, but now I can see the benefit of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why if you're going to do something like that, you really need to let somebody know, and you need to explain why you're doing it. Um, Otherwise, they won't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, and they really won't know your position or your experience on it. So, I mean, all in all, this creates a healthy structure, I think, in practice. Trustees sit the course, actually, kind of through the conference, and they are responsible for ultimately protecting our services and our policies and our finances. Again, I think that's why it's important that we have good trustees in place.
Yeah.
And, like it or not, the AAWS and Grapevine, I mean, they're nonprofit businesses with separate boards. right? And the boards are ultimately in charge. The staff is there to execute the work. But it's important. That's why it's important for the fellowship to stay involved, ask questions, and if things aren't going the right way, or they're not going in a way that I would say supports our fifth tradition, then that's when I think you go to the power of the purse. It's a pretty straightforward concept.
Yeah.
It looks complicated when you first read it, but not really. Now, Shank, you haven't broke out that concept checklist in a while.
Are you missing it?
No, it just popped in my head that you haven't hit us with any questions in the last couple episodes.
Well, do you want to hear one of the questions?
Yeah, what do you got?
Okay. Let me make sure I'm on the right one here. What are we? Okay, V.
We're on VIII.
All right. Um, okay, this says, do we understand the relationship between the two corporate service entities, AA World Services, Inc., and the Grapevine, and the General Service Board?
I think we do. Yeah. Don't we?
Corporate service entities. That's an interesting way to describe World Services and the AA
That's the
Grapevine,
great,
huh?
that's right. Yeah. But that's what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually businesses, right?
Does my home group subscribe to GSO's bi-monthly newsletter, Box 459?
Good question. The answer is yes.
What about the AA Grapevine?
The answer is, well, you would know better than me. Do we still have a subscription at the group?
We do.
Yeah.
Do I?
Well, so I need to update everyone. So I just had a renewal come through for 3 subscriptions
Okay.
that I am not renewing. So when those fall off at the end of September, I will have 2 subscriptions left.
All right. So you're from
And
15 down to,
I'm going to be down to 2 in October.
all right.
I think I had 7.
Mhm.
I think that's right. So plus the app and the digital stuff, whatever all that is. So I'll be down to 2 in October. And I'm strongly consider. I think I already made the statement I was going to let them expire. I'm praying about that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm going to get rid of them or not. The last 2 probably will. And so to answer your first question, just know there's a general service board, then there's a board for the Grapevine, there's a board for the AWS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the General Service Board is not the board for Grapevine and is not the board for AA World Services.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's your questions?
Yep.
Okay. Um, I guess the best thing to do would be to make sure that we trust people that we've appointed. Get out of their way and let them do their job.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like if you're at your work, right? I mean, somebody, if we were working for a business, neither one of us do anymore, but if we were working for somebody else, if they tell us to do something, then hopefully they'll give us the authority and the autonomy to do that. If we're going to ask somebody to do something, we should get out of their way and let them do it. So we can't rely on the trustees to do it all.
Well, they can't.
No, they can't.
They're busy.
That's right. What let's move on to living sober shrapnel.
All right. So we've made it to page 61 in the booklet Living Sober. Or Living Sober Shrapnel is a segment of lore, myth, and sayings heard from the booklet Living Sober. So we have arrived at section 25, which is getting out of the, quote, if trap.
Say that again.
Getting out of the if
trap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we just got done talking about emotional entanglements last week. But that's not the only thing, that is not the only way we can get our sobriety dangerously hooked to something else. Okay? So our first shrapnel comes from page 62. And it is, if it rains in Spain or the stars fall on Alabama.
It's so good. It's so good. I'm telling you, this, I don't know why, but this is my favorite one so far. It's just...
Me too. This one is so good. So here's what the little section says. In effect, we are ignoring the biochemical, unchangeable nature of our ailment. Alcoholism respects no ifs. It does not go away, not for a week, for a day, or even for an hour, leaving us non-alcoholic and able to drink again on some special occasion or for some extraordinary reason. Not even if it is a once-in-a-lifetime celebration, or if a big sorrow hits us, or if it rains in Spain, or the stars fall on Alabama. Alcoholism is for us unconditional, with no dispensations available at any price.
I'm going to have to mute the phone. I'm going to mute the mic. This is crazy.
So it says before this, like, we drunks are very iffy people.
Which is true.
Yes. So, you know, I wouldn't have gotten so drunk if my ex-wife hadn't been with my cousin, or
right.
If, you know, I hadn't shown up to the bar, my boyfriend was there with some hoe.
Right.
Or whatever, you know, whatever the case may be.
Yes. Alcoholism is for us unconditional, with no dispensations available at any price.
Mm-hmm.
What was he thinking, though, when he wrote in this statement, in this paragraph, if it rains in Spain or the stars fall on Alabama?
Because they're once-in-a-lifetime occurrences.
Oh, my goodness. It's so interesting how, I know we've said this before, but how some stuff is dead on the money, and then you get something like this. It's like you just start scratching your head.
You're like, what?
If, in effect, we are ignoring the biochemical, unchangeable nature of our ailment.
Yep.
Alcoholism respects no ifs.
And so it talks about, previous to this too, how like some people will put conditions on their sobriety or on not drinking, you know, so like, I'll stay sober, but only because my life is so good now, like everything's going good.
Right.
And
right.
If something goes wrong, I don't know. And we know people like that who, you know, like a parent, a sibling, a child gets sick or dies, and then all of a sudden they're drinking, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah. Right. So the book Alcoholics Anonymous was called that, Having No Reservations, right?
That's right.
Yeah. It also kind of reminds me of what's that shrapnel yet? I haven't gotten locked up yet, or I haven't. You ever heard that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got the yets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're from Alabama, aren't you?
I am. That's why I put this one in here.
All right. Well, what do you want to do with it?
Well, I don't know. This one's pretty crazy.
It's crazy.
Probably
I think
gotta
I'm
scrap that one.
All right. It's out of here.
It's out of here. Now, speaking of a reservation, it does go on to talk about a reservation. So our next shrapnel is the whispered reservation.
Okay.
This is also from page 62. And it says, somewhere buried in a hidden convolution of our gray matter, we had a tiny reservation, a condition on our sobriety. And it was just waiting to pounce. We were going along thinking, yep, sobriety is great and I intend to keep at it. We didn't even hear the whispered reservation. That is, if everything goes my way.
That ties into your Upon Awakening reading there.
Mm-hmm.
If everything goes my way, everything is just going to be fine.
Yep.
This made me think of something. This is a true story. There was this group that I got sober in. It had a bunch of old dudes in it that like got sober in the 60s and 70s. And there was a guy there, and his name was Lonnie. And at that time, this was been late 80s, early 90s, he was sober about over 20 years. And he made a comment one time in a meeting that if his wife ever died, he didn't know what he would do. And this guy was like a pillar in the group.
Yeah.
And I'm not making this up. About 8 years later, his wife died, and guess what he did? He got drunk.
No.
Yes. And he was like sober at that time 30 years.
Wow.
And it's just weird to me. But that's a perfect example of what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You would think it would happen to people that were earlier sober, though, right?
I would think that, yes.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. If she doesn't come back, I may go back to drinking, and she doesn't come back, so. The Whispered Reservation.
The Whispered
Big Book.
Reservation.
I think the Big Book would call that a lurking notion.
Ah, yeah.
Right?
I think you're right.
So let's not have any lurking notions or whispered reservations. I'm scrapping it.
It's out of here. Okay. So continuing on, it starts talking about our next meeting shrapnel is to please a boss or doctor or judge or creditor. And so this is where we kind of switch over in this little reading about what we're supposed to be doing. And this is what it says. Over and over, we have found we cannot stay sober long just for the sake of wife, husband, children, lover, parents, other relative or friend, nor for the sake of a job, nor to please a boss or doctor or judge or creditor, not for anyone other than ourselves.
Please a boss. Well, I've wanted to please a boss and a judge and a creditor when I was drunk, especially the judge. But this is interesting. Maybe that guy Lonnie was staying sober just for his wife, huh?
Maybe. And so it does go on to say that if you tie your sobriety to any person, even if it's another recovered alcoholic, or to any circumstance, that's foolish and dangerous. When you think, I'll stay sober if, or I won't drink because of blank, you're unwittingly setting yourself up to drink when the condition or person or circumstance changes.
He's not wrong,
Yep.
is he?
Not at all.
Over and over, we found we cannot stay sober long just for the sake of wife,
For the sake of life.
sake of husband, sake of children, sake of lover, sake of parents, sake of other relative or friend, not for the sake of a job, not for the sake of, nor to please a boss. What do you think about this one? So let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought you were staying sober for any of these people?
No.
Yeah, me either. This is another one of those things. Whatever that is, I've never had it. I mean,
I remember, so I was going to AA meetings before being sentenced to prison, and I remember a family member, we were all talking to my attorney together. Many of my family members were there. First of all, he said, well, I don't think you're an alcoholic. Oh my God, this was just an accident. You're so young. And then next, a family member said, well, she's going to these AA meetings. Like, can't we use this in court? And he's like, yeah, you can get a piece of paper signed. And I didn't want to do that just because it was something I didn't want to do. But I remember telling my sponsor, like, oh yeah, my family wants me to like get a piece of paper signed. And she was like, I mean, you can do that, but whatever, I don't care. Like it was just not a thing. And so I didn't want to. It wasn't hurting or harming me either way.
yeah.
But I was like, I don't know. That's not
Right.
why I'm sober. It's not so that I can go and show this judge like, oh, I went to treatment and I went to AA, and it was just not for that purpose. It did not help me
It didn't help you. Yeah.
in that circumstance. Like I still went to prison. It helped me immensely with my relationship with God and staying sober in prison. But
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the funny thing about this one is that if I actually just look at my own experience, I've lost a wife. I've lost parents. I've lost relatives. I've lost friends. I've had bosses mad and I've lost jobs. And I stayed sober.
yeah, the dermatologist mad.
So, man, gosh, she's rough. Man. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's one of those things where it's like, well, why did I get it and other people didn't? And I'm also not someone to say that, but I remember distinctly being told by a few old timers, like, hey, if you're here for any other reason than to get sober, to make amends, to clean up your life, like, it's
Yeah.
probably not going to work for you.
No, might as well go drink. Yeah. Yeah, I came in here because I wanted to quit drinking. I wanted to be different.
You keeping
Well,
it? Scrabbing it?
I'm neutral on this one.
Okay.
I think what he's saying is true, but no, I'm going to scrap it.
Okay, it's out of here.
All right. Well, living sober is so good from lots of different angles. I'm not going to give it to anybody, but it's Hey, and Shank, just popped in my head. Speaking about the boards and the three different boards in Alcoholics Anonymous, one being the General Service Board and AAWS Board and Grapevine Board, there's a vacancy for a non-trustee board member for the Grapevine.
Did you apply?
Said you should apply for it.
No. Did you apply?
I have not applied for it. but I think you should apply for it.
Well, I just might do that. I might throw my hat in the ring.
I may apply. See if I can't get turned down for a fourth time. Actually, that's not true. It would be the second time for the Grapevine. You know, I used to run a publishing company.
Well, they don't care.
No, they don't. No, no, I don't have enough letters behind my name. I had often thought one time I was going to get. I used to have these pretty cool business cards when I was an executive at a business.
Mm-hmm.
But I got no education. I always wanted to put like, how people have their name and it'll say DR or MD or PhD or Juris Doctorate or whatever it is, right? I always wanted to have mine that said my name and then at the end it said GED. I think that would be so funny. Or HSD. It would be awesome, wouldn't it?
That's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness. All right. Hey, if you're out there listening, we appreciate you. Spread the word, stay on the path, and take the 12 steps and be free.
Freedom.
Thanks for listening. If you have a comment, suggestion, or just need help, you can email Shank and Wayne at freedom@alcoholicsalive.com. Remember, we're recovered members of Alcoholics Anonymous, but we do not speak for Alcoholics Anonymous, nor do we get paid. Join us next week for another great episode.